Hello, Internet. I hope you've all had a very nice Easter weekend. I'm back now, and this time I'm going to talk to you a little bit about basically play styles and knowing your play style and knowing your team. So I did, a bit of a talk, I suppose you could call it, about RNG a little while ago. So go and go and listen to that if you fancy it, if you haven't already. But this one. I'm going to talk a bit about play style and knowing your team as well, which are, both really important things. Because we're all different. We've all got different brains. All of our brains are wired to have different tendencies, I suppose. So one person might play really carefully, another person might play a little bit too risky. But obviously there's upsides and there's downsides to both both those ways of playing. If you're too careful, then maybe you're a bit too predictable. If an obvious switch in is obvious kind of thing, and if you're too risky, then you're maybe hanging a Pokemon out to get knocked out kind of thing. So there's ups and downs to both, but you need to know your own play style to be able to excel in the game. Really now. I don't know. I suppose it was early in 2013 when I really began sort of developing my competitive Pokemon VGC brain, I suppose. I tried playing around with a few different things, a few different teams. Some of them successful, some of them weren't, and I guess the thing that got me most was control and momentum, obviously two really fundamentally important and I think sometimes overlooked things in in Pokemon teams, because if you don't have control, speed control for example, then bad things are going to happen. You're going to be going last, you're going to be getting flinched or whatever, like I've been saying in that RNG video. If you don't have momentum, I mean, it's the same thing really. You're on the back foot and you've got to try and play yourself out of it. And so in the early 2013, I keep going on about that Trick Room team that I used with the Jellicent and the Marowak and the Scrafty and the Chandelure and all the rest of it. That team that I used, it's probably over 2 years ago now. It seems, way over 2 years ago. So it's a pretty old team now. But Trick Room was my first kind of successful way of battling, I suppose, because I guess Trick Room is the ultimate answer to getting momentum. I mean, nothing gets you more momentum than getting Trick Room up. Then you've got 4 turns of being faster than your opponent, hitting hard and hitting first, and it's a very simple, very good way of getting momentum on your team. And that is, I guess, why I liked Trick Room. The problem is, I suppose, Trick Room is not necessarily the most reliable form of momentum, and it doesn't really, maybe not the most reliable way of control either, because opponents can flinch you, opponents can taunt you if you allow that to happen. All kinds of things can happen. You need to get that Trick Room up first. So when I first started, or when I first saw Lipid being used, I didn't invent Lipid by any means. It was a revelation to me. It brought me a new level of control that I'd never had before playing in Pokemon VGC. So obviously everyone knows, especially now, everyone knows this 2013 team that I used with the Lipid and the Breloom and everything. It's control, it's momentum. The whole team is about disrupting and setting up. This is the Nationals version. I had Lipid here with obviously the Fake Out and the Swagger and the Encore to disrupt, and then I had Volcarona here with the Quiver Dance to set up. I had the Sleep to obviously put things to sleep to allow me to set up again. I had Cresselia with Calm Mind. I was using Calm Mind even back then. Although, strangely, I was looking on BattleSpot, and over 20% of Cresselia have got Calm Mind now. That is crazy. Like, I don't know if any of that is my influence, or if it's big in Japan or something at the moment or what, but I mean, Carmine Cresselli has always been my little baby here. Thunderous, which I switched to after the first national, is obviously very good at controlling speed control with Thunderwave and Swagger as well. I suppose my Rotom had some degree of control because I had Sunny Day on there, which amused some people because I didn't really like my matchup against rain teams. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. And obviously I had Swords Dance as well, so to set up. So the whole team was control, setup, momentum, all things I liked. And I did really well with this team, as, I'm sure I got 9th at Worlds and everything. I top caught the whole, European national circuit. And so, 2013 was fine. 2014, when that came along, I had a few problems because, I couldn't do what I've done this year and just recycle the same team. Lipid existed, Volcarona didn't, Brillium didn't, Cresselia didn't, Thunderous didn't, Terrakion didn't, so I had to basically start almost from scratch. I knew the kind of team that I wanted to play with and the kind of style that I liked, but I didn't really know how to go about doing it, especially because, and this is probably the biggest reason why I hated Talonflame so much. Talonflame absolutely destroys this kind of playstyle. If I just throw a Lipid and a Brillium out, then I'm in a pretty threatened position straight away. Lipid, I did use Lipid a few times in 2014, but Talonflame was always a problem. Actually, I've got here a few examples. Now this team is not really a team. It's quite embarrassing looking back on it, but it was a first attempt at creating a team, I suppose, in the VGC 14 format. But the interesting thing is, I've got Lipid and I've got a Vivillon. I wanted to build around these two Pokemon, Lipid and Vivillon, because Lipid and Brillium, the 2013 team, those two worked so well. So I wanted something that kind of did the same kind of thing. Now, Lipid and Vivillon work really well together because you've got the Fake Out, you've got the Sleep Powder, which with Compound Eyes hardly ever misses. And, you can try and juggle teams. And actually this team, I won a Nugget Bridge live with it, which is quite, funny looking back on. But, these two work together, especially with Fake Tears on Lipid, because, Vivillon with Hurricane and Bug Buzz can actually do a lot of damage, actually, at -2. If an Amoonguss or whatever, a Venusaur wants to come in on a predicted Sleep Powder, I could Fake Tears and Hurricane and just one-shot it, basically. So these two work together. So I did want to, and I did, build around these two Pokemon to try and get them to work, but didn't really have too much success. As we go forward to the first national, the German national, in Bochum, this is the team that I used, which, looking back on it, I still really like this team. Honestly, I do like this team a lot. We've got the birth, I suppose, of the Invitational team, because we've got the Raichu, Azumarill, Talonflame, and Tyranitar. Different kind of spreads and a few different sets to what they turned into. But Vivillon turned into a Jumpluff because Kangaskhan and Garchomp were massive problems for Vivillon, so I didn't think it was too viable. But Jumpluff, putting the whole accuracy problem aside with Sleep Powder, these two work really, really, really well together. They worked really well together, especially in that, early 2014 format. I actually, the Nugget Bridge live tournament just before the German National, I entered with this team, and I won that with this team as well. So I was feeling pretty good going into German Nationals. German Nationals didn't go too well for me. I did get a bit unlucky for, lots of reasons really in that tournament, but, whatever. It happens. But Lipid and Jumpluff work fantastically well together because I can Fake Out. If Sleep Powder hits, I can put something to sleep. Infiltrator, don't care about Safeguard or Substitute and stuff like that. And this is interesting because I put Swagger on the Jumpluff. Jumpluff outspeeds Lipid, and this is the birth of the black glasses. I suppose this is my first official announcement. Yes, Lipid has got black glasses. I think everyone knows that now. Just because at +2, black glasses Lipid with Foul Play knocks out one-shot a lot of Kangaskhan and a lot of Garchomp, which were big problems. in 2014. So, against a really common 2014 team at the time, a lead of Lipard and Jumpluff, as long as they didn't have a Talonflame, could run through their team. It could destroy teams. So, I really enjoyed this. But again, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. Obviously these two hate Talonflame, so I've got a rock type, I've got a water type, I've got an electric type, I've got my own faster Talonflame because everyone was using Adamant at the time. I got Jolly with Bandit to knock it out in one basically. So the rest of the team is pretty anti-Talonflame, but whatever, that's that. So when 2014 came along, I kind of made teams like this that were to my playstyle. Now, it's hard to try and, when you're just starting out, it's hard to know. I mean, you can't know what your play style is. I mean, it's not, thinking back when I was first getting into competitive Pokemon, it's not like, oh, I really like this Pokemon. I think it looks really nice. I want to use it. Just because you like a Pokemon doesn't mean that it fits your play style at all. So I suppose you've got to try and, I suppose a good way of learning is to use other people's teams. I mean, now we've got Nugget Bridge and other websites as well that, and YouTube resources as well that we didn't have, not when I was getting into the game. So you can actually just, blatantly, not necessarily steal, but, borrow teams and, use them and play with them and see how you go with them and figure out, if you're particularly successful with one of them, try and figure out what it is in that team that you're doing right. What are you most successful with in that? Are you really good at, setting up a particular sweeper, or are you really good at preserving a particular Pokemon that walls the rest of their teams, or stuff like that. You've got to try and look at what you're doing right in the games. And then you can try and modify the team, or you can try and build something a little bit different, from there as well. It's it's up to you basically how you go. But here's the thingy. It is interesting to know as well. Going back to the whole sort of careful, risky, kind of seesaw, I suppose. Obviously you do need to find a good equilibrium between those two. Between being really careful, obviously being careful is good, but you need to take risks sometimes as well. You don't want to be too predictable, making the obvious careful moves. Now, it is interesting because I think that, or I was under the impression of, and still am to some degree, I guess, that Worlds competitors, people who do well at Worlds or even qualify for Worlds, tend to, I think, err more on the careful side. I mean, I think I've got one of Ray's teams up here. Ray Rizzo, world champion 3 times in a row. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Honestly, it really isn't. So, massive respect to Ray. All of his teams were very bulky. Really, really bulky. He had, in 2011, he had the Gothitelle and the Escavalier, and I suppose he revolutionized the bulky Thunderous as well. 2012, we've got, look, all this bulk on Cresselia, all this bulk on Metagross, a bit of bulk on Hydreigon, a bulky Garchomp, a bulky Tyranitar, Rotom, very bulky, again, really, 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 really bulky Pokemon, which allows him to switch around, gives him more options. So I find that quite interesting, which, when I was entering my first Worlds in 2013, kind of, I don't know, I didn't really know how well my team would do because it's really not built like this at all, and everything that I'd sort of seen from successful teams in the past, they had to be built, bulky and be sort of, grind out victories, teams like this. So, I really enjoyed kind of going in and blowing up the world's format, I suppose you could say. But knowing your play style is one thing. You need to, before you get into learning about your team, you need to know that it is a team that fits your style. If you're preparing for a tournament, I'm trying to say, an important tournament, you need to know before you do play with it a million times on BattleSpot that it is something that suits your style, that it is something you're really comfortable with, and so. if you play with something that isn't in your style, then you're not going to feel really comfortable. You're not going to, you're going to feel like to win with that team, you need to make plays that aren't really natural to your brain, kind of thing. If you know what I'm saying. So obviously, knowing your play style is really important. Knowing your team is really, really, really important as well. And I don't think, really, honestly, I don't think anyone knows any of their teams as well as I know this team that I'm using right now, the Leopard and Brillium team. I've been using it for a long time now. Which on one hand you could say, isn't that boring? You've been using the same team for so long, but one, I don't think it's boring because I enjoy playing with this team, but also I enjoy winning, and honestly, this is competitive VGC play. You enter tournaments to win them, don't you? Honestly, so I do. So when I play VGC, I want to win. There's nothing like the buzz of winning a really hard fought game. The buzz of winning a tournament, winning a big tournament as well. So, if I can, stick to the same team and win with it, then I will do. I really will do. Whether I will use this when the Nationals come around in a few months' time or not, I don't know, because everyone seems to know this team now. But whatever. That's a whole different issue. But but to do well with a team, obviously you need to know your play style, like I keep saying, but you need to know your team inside out. You really do. And to do that, you need to get lots of experience with it. You need to become really, really, really experienced with the team. You need to feel like the plays are natural. You need to feel like what the best move is, straight away, which, going back, Cybertron, we all know Cybertron, don't we? Who's just been using my team, this, Leopard and Brillium team on his Road to Ranked series on YouTube. I found that really, really interesting because he would be maybe in a certain position and it would just come straight to my mind. You got to do this and you got to do this. And he might sort of, deliberate over what he's going to do, and then he would eventually do the move that I thought he was going to do. Now that's just because I've been using this team a lot more than he has. He is experienced with the team. He used it back in 2013 as well. But this team is much more at the forefront of my mind than it is his. So the moves came to me a lot quicker, and that's really important for official tournaments as well. When you've got a 45-second, move timer thing, you know what I mean. So you've got to know what your best moves are straight away. But anyway, knowing the team helps you. Helps you on team preview, which is a huge turn for the game, really. So you need to know what good leads are. You need to know what threats are for your team. Everyone can look at a team and say, oh, it's a bit weak to this or it's a bit weak to that. Everyone can look at this team and say, oh, you've got 3 Pokemon weak to Fairy. So maybe Sylveon's a problem or whatever. But it's only until you play with the team a lot and get a lot of experience that that maybe there's something really, really niche that might give you a few problems as well. And I was having a bit of fun on the Pokemon Showdown chat yesterday because someone was asking what's the best counter to this team, and I just quite flippantly but truthfully put in the chat Vital Spirit Magmortar, which I have come across, and it beat me quite nastily, basically. But it's one of them things that you just wouldn't expect if you just pick up a team and start using it. So obviously Vital Spirit Magmortar can't be put to sleep, and it's a fire type, so it's good against Brillium and Scizor and everything as well. But it's obviously that's important, but I think most importantly is you've got to know damage calculations for your team. So knowing your playstyle is one thing. You've got to know damage calculations for your team. And I've been playing with this team so long. I know my spirits. I've every Pokemon on my team apart from Brillium. I don't think it surprises anyone that Brillium's just 252, 252. Every other Pokemon on my team has got a really interesting spread. They're a bit different to the spreads that are on my Worlds version here. Some of them are a bit similar, some of them are a bit different as well, adapted for this year. but as we can see, this is my non-mega scissor spread from 2013. But you need to get the experience of using a team to know that whatever I know an adamant earthquake spread damage from a Landorus T will do to my Mega Scizor. I think it's between 58 and 69 damage. I think it's something like that. So it might seem sad, it might seem silly, but little bits of information like that are really important. I know that my Terrakion can survive a scarfed low kick from a Tyranitar, and stuff like that. It's little bits of information that can help you out in games. It might seem silly, but it really, really does. And basically allowing you to know damage calculations, being so experienced with the teams, allows you to make correct, informed moves, which obviously you need to make if you're going to win the games as well. I mean, it's a long time since I made a miscalculation, I suppose, in my head with one of the Pokemon on this team. Actually, I can remember the last time it was, and I really kicked myself for it because because I had a different play that could have allowed me to win the game a bit easier. It was actually the Yeovil Premier Challenge I went to, which is, I don't know, like 2 months ago now or something like that. My Mega Scizor was at +2, and my opponent had a Heatran it was about 10% or something like that. And I thought, a +2 Bullet Punch will knock this Heatran out, won't it? I think it was about 10%. It was something like that. I thought it would, and obviously it quad resists, but I thought it was +2, and it didn't. And he won that game. That was actually the final of that Yeovil tournament. That was the second game. I won the first game. He won that second game because of that miscalculation on my behalf. So that's, I suppose that's a really good example of knowing your calculations, knowing your team. So I don't know. I mean, I've been waffling on for a while at least. So I hope you're not getting too bored. But I don't know. It's really important. You got to know your playstyle. You got to know your team as well. And the only way that you can know both of those things is by putting in a lot of time. I mean, Pokemon VGC. It's not a job. It's not anyone's job or anything like that. It's got to be something. I mean, if you're gonna put time into it, it's got to be something that you enjoy. Thankfully, I do. I think I do. I do still enjoy playing this game, so I play it a lot still. And I only learn more. I only get more experience using the things that I'm using. So time really is the main thing. It's the biggest thing that you can put into to learn your playstyle, to learn your team inside out, to allow you to win more games. So I don't know. I've waffled on for a bit, so I hope you've got some kind of new insight into play styles and teams and whatnot. If not, I hope you've enjoyed listening to my voice waffle on for, I don't know, however long we've been going now, 23 minutes. So I don't know. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you got something from it. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening if you haven't been watching. But again, thanks for all the support. So many more of you have come along after the last week. Thanks to Aaron as well. So thanks a lot, everyone. Obviously Aaron too again. But if you like this, if you enjoyed it, please again feel free to like it, share it, do all all the rest of it. It's up to you if you do. Entirely up to you. But I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.